Hi, Shiva Rajaya here from vitalcoaching.com. We are talking about galactic angelic powers activating planet Earth. I'm going to start diving a little bit into this idea of angels visiting us on planet Earth because they have been part of our mythical stories since the beginning of time, sacred scriptures as forms of devas, visiting prophets and so on. So what is all that? Why is it that we are not talking more about them and trying to figure out what is behind all that? The reason why, I think, is because they are, veils of consciousness that stop us from actually going and diving and seeing the magnificence and the depth and the expansion of what we would touch if we were actually given the vision of what's going on behind the veils. So, my take on it is that angelic powers, angelic forces, archangels have been on this planet since the beginning of time. Some of them might be Earth-based, but my belief is that they go around, traveling across the galaxy and probably activating different planets, different systems, helping humankind or maybe other human-like races like us. I don't know the link between human-like races like us and angelic powers. I don't know if we as human beings are going to evolve and become an angelic race when we start rising into our light bodies. So all those are open questions. I don't have a clear answer for that. But the feeling that I get is that somehow human-like races and angelic races are kind of two parallel lineages. And my belief as well is that angels and archangels are way more advanced and powerful than human beings. There is also a dimension or a difference in the planes of consciousness where we are active, like the human race will be closer to manifestation. It means that we function in the realms of physical reality, etheric or energy body, the emotional body and the mental body, and I believe that the angelic realms function in the planes that are more above that. It means that there is resonance coming in there, but a little bit like when we are meditating, we are accessing the states of mystical consciousness, right? The nirvanic planes or the Buddhic planes or the causal consciousness. So we start diving into this space, and for angelic forces, I believe that it's the other way around, that they are actually incarnating and coming into incarnation into the lower planes or the more denser planes of consciousness. What's interesting also is that we identify as human race, in our scriptures and through the different writings, identities of different archangels, like Gabriel, Michael, Metatron, Uriel. Those archangels have very specific individual identities. They are not just fields of energies. So this is an important thing as well, and maybe that's the way they communicate to us because we can relate to that, a human-like form coming with wings. Maybe it's much more complex than that, and this is only the holographic representation that is given to us. In fact, they might be just fields of consciousness that are permeating different realities. Okay, maybe for instance the field of Metatron might be a field of energy that is actually spreading all over the earth and creating like this huge body of energy and consciousness, and then when Metatron is having an intention or a flow or a new input of energy, that activates a whole field of energy reality. So I'm really curious about your experiences, Again, all of what I'm saying here is not science. It's intuitive research. It comes from mystical experiences, kind of intuitively trying to be guided and see what these realities look like. And for me, it's a beautiful exploration because suddenly when you ask questions, you start getting answers. So my question to you, if you are in this intuitive exploration, what's your reality? What's your experience of angelic force, angelic powers? If you come from the science field and you want to argue about the reality or not, this is not an argument, okay? It's not a debate. It's not like who is right or who is wrong. Everybody's right and everybody's wrong, if you like it. The ideas or the feelings that I have around that. These are the truths and the impressions that come into my field and my reality. I'm just describing to you what is happening in my mind and what I'm feeling. Okay, so so that said, yeah, share. Tell me about your experiences and how you experience angelic forces in your life. Another question is aliens and angels, right? Obviously, if angels are not just planetary based and they come or visit the Earth, or sometimes they are here for a certain period of time, you know, they land on planet Earth and then they stay here for a while. So there is a relationship between alien forms and angelic powers. Are they the same thing? You know, are the alien forces that come on planet Earth, are they just different branches of angelic powers, or are they really two different things? And again, that's a question that is open right now. For me, the two realities are two different realities. It means that I do feel that there are human-like races that are not angels, that are actually in interaction with us. And so that's, you know, that's an impression. I'm not sure if you heard, you know, the stories within the Theosophical Society, the beginning of the New Age. Madame Blavatsky was talking about, you know, the visiting of planetary princes, forces that we call Sanat Kumara, and the Manu, and the Cosmic Christ energy, the Mahashohan, which are at the head of the planetary hierarchy within that system. It's a system that makes sense to me. It's a system that I have been working with for an extended period of time. You have a whole planetary hierarchy with the masters and the light workers that are organized in fields, and on top of that you have these planetary princes. So the story is that those princes came as 144,000 light workers coming on planet Earth and impacting on the Earth to come and help humankind evolve in the right direction, which is a beautiful thing. So in the mythical story, it is said that those beings sacrifice themselves, and it's possible that you, as a person watching these videos, or being a light worker or a conscious being on this planet, you are right now channeling some of this energy, and you are in direct alignment with one or many of these light workers. You know, if you start invoking Sanat Kumara, or if you start to invoke the Cosmic Christ energy, it's you know, it's a source or a field of energy that you can tap into, that is influencing your choices and positioning you as a light worker. So my guess is that many of you who are watching this video are already in alignment with some of these energies, and so we can a little bit demystify and be like, yeah, that's the reality that we live in, instead of this being some form of metaphor and romantic story about our lives as human race. Instead of looking at it like that, yeah, it's a daily reality, and most of us have this kind of visions or relationship with the invisible, including angelic force, angelic powers. The next question is, what does angelic life look like? Do angels eat? Do they live forever? Do they die? Can they get hurt? Can they be in dissonance with their brothers and sisters? Do they have gender? You know, all these things. To tell you the truth, I have no idea. I have no idea. We've got some light, you know, feelings and impressions that come in our way, but basically this is an information that right now I cannot access, so I don't have an answer for that one. Another question is, as a human race, have we been seeded by angels, by angelic powers? I'm convinced, 100% convinced, that angelic forces have been on this planet for an extended period of time, probably since the beginning of the human race. Imagine that we started our evolution really as human race maybe 2 million years ago. These were the first human-like forms in this range, right, between 1 million to 10 million. But anyway, in those age range, maybe angelic forces have been on this planet for that long, or maybe even since the beginning of life, which is around 3 billion years ago. So imagine that those beings have been around and orchestrating or helping with the seeding of the planet, of life on this planet and humankind. So that's a possibility. Again, you know, my impression is that yes, there has been an active collaboration between the different hierarchies present on this planet, including alien and human-like forms that have been consciously seeding. It means that we, as the human race, have been implanted on this planet to evolve and create this ground and this humankind that we know here. But we are not the only ones on this vast galaxy. The next question is, do we become angels as we ascend in our light bodies? My feeling is that there are certain angelic qualities that we integrate. It means that there is an opening of the chakras, there is an opening of the light body energy, and in my impression, for instance, when I think of the planetary princes which are close to human-like forms, you know, for instance, Sanat Kumara or the Christ energy, I believe that those are human-like forms, very evolved, and that when we start ascending, we actually remain still human-like, and that we might integrate parts or certain vibrations of frequency or certain aspects of the angelic forces. But again, this is a very profound question, and I don't have the final answer for that. This is what I have right now, and this model has been in my mind for like 10, 15, 20 years. Galactic guides, angels as galactic guides. Again, this is a very powerful thing to imagine. Imagine that, you know, within this galactic grid, the angelic forces are helping the build-up of the consciousness and the grid for the planet and humankind and the galaxy. Another thing that I noticed, for instance, when I go to a big city, right, or I go to anywhere, if I'm, for instance, in New York, I use the term New York. It means that I try to connect with the spirit of the city by invoking it, Gracia New York. Or if I'm in London, Gracia Londania. Over here, Balia, in Ubud, Ubudia. You know, so what I'm saying or what I'm doing is, instead of looking at the place as a physical reality, I look at it as the energy body, and I believe that there is an intelligence which is sponsoring the evolution of this place. It means that a place, a big city like New York, for instance, has been seeded, and there is a force or an angelic power that is sponsoring the evolution of that place or that city. And so I call that the spirit, you know, the spirit of New York, which is like the sum of everything that is happening over there. It's like a field, it's a very specific energetic identity, and I believe that there is an intelligent force that is watching over the evolution of that place, exactly in the same way as it's happening over here in Bali. When I call the spirit of Bali, I go down into the river and bathe into the waters, into the clear waters. It's a calling for the energy of the spirit of Bali, which is a very powerful invocation. Yeah, when we go into the creation of civilizations, it's the same story. I feel like, for instance, the creation of the Egyptian civilization, imagine that there is this whirling armies of angels coming and imprinting a certain set of codes on planet Earth, guided by gods and goddesses like beings, and with alien forces, human-like races that come and seed all that and help us create the model of evolution for that specific civilization. So I believe that it's a very, you know, collaborative process in the creation of civilizations. I believe that, again, angelic powers are fully part of that. The same when it comes to seeding nature's evolution. You know, you look at fairies or nature beings, elemental beings, and my belief also is that the elemental beings that we can feel or see, or that the stories around them, that these elemental beings, which is a metaphor for something that is happening, for instance, the spirit of a flower is part of an angelic body that is much vaster than that is supervising either that specific species or a certain group, or a certain forest, or a certain, you know, a certain environment. And so these angelic forces or angelic powers are specifically directed towards helping the evolution and the guidance of nature's evolution. Yeah, there's much more to say. Shambhala and Gaia. Imagine that right now the human race is right there, in this interface. There is a body of energy that we can call Shambhala, paradise, Shangri-La, like this mythical story, city that is in our consciousness, and then all that is being transferred in consciousness through humankind, and humankind right now is at the interface between Gaia, which is planet Earth, and Shambhala, which is incarnating itself on the planet Earth. So the angelic powers, humankind, everything, all the beings that are active on this are collaborating in this integration of Shambhala into planet Earth or Gaia. I believe that the completion of the human race will be done once we integrated absolutely everything about paradise on this planet, paradise or Shambhala. Fallen angels, yeah. What are fallen angels? So again, demystifying it a little bit and simplifying it, taking away a little bit the romantic dimension of it. I believe that as angels come closer into incarnation and go down the incarnation planes, then there is an energetic integration of the forces that are there, including the force of humankind, and the original message can get slightly corrupted from the original intent. It means that as they densify and come into incarnation and come deeper into the spheres of consciousness, then eventually they start integrating elements that were not part of their beings before. It means that the original purity, the virgin state that they were in before, comes as they come incarnating, and then they go and dive into the roots of the earth, the roots of human consciousness, and in that place they, through the exchange, you know, their bodies or their beings are going to be somehow maybe a little bit toxified or start grabbing the density of this earth, including the human patterns, and then their job is to go back into the light and reconnect with that energy. So that's the story that I have around fallen angels. I'm not sure if you realize that, but this temple here over here, I have been leading Tantrika training for people, right? People come and stay with me, and we were doing retreats and so on. And so when people were arriving here very often, I realized that, wow, it feels like all these beings that were coming into this space for training had already a little bit of this angelic dimension. And so it was interesting for me to witness that and realize that maybe some of what I'm doing here is more like a training ground for angels to incarnate on planet Earth, integrate the more of human consciousness, and help those beings that are in alignment, human beings that are in alignment with those energies, to actually merge in a healthy way. That's a nice story as well. Here in Ubudya, we the angelic force of Metatron, I call him Metatrona. Here you go. This is what we call the Metatron cube, and it's very present in Ubud. And my belief is that precisely certain angels or archangels are taking responsibility for certain core vortexes on this planet and activating the evolution of the planet through, you know, what is this sacred geometry? It's a connection point. Is that, imagine that all these sacred geometry elements create a network, and then that's the physical body of this, part of the physical body of this angelic or archangelic force. Metatrona, Metatronaya. Yeah, there's so much more to say, but I'm going to stop here. I don't want to make the video too long. But basically you get the idea. So this is, again, you know, it's not a debate. I'm not here to debate or argue with you about what is right or wrong. You know, these are the visions. They are going to evolve. Don't try to force your views on me. If you have a different view, just share it. Let's not get aggressive with each other, okay? Let's have a, you know, open conversations. And I'm really curious about what your experience of angelic force, angelic powers are. Does what I'm saying here resonate with you? Where are the places that you recognize truth in your field? Where are the places where you don't see it, or you feel like the energy reality is different? Do you feel that us as a human race are evolving towards becoming angels in the future in light bodies? You know, is this something that resonates? Yeah, all these questions. It's an open exploration. I encourage you to just meditate, sit down, and share your truth. If you can do some videos on this topic, I think it would be a good idea for us to start, you know, exploring that a little bit more as a human race, because if, you know, angels are around, it's one of the major things that we should, you know a little bit more about. Yeah. beautiful topic. Angels out there, Metatrona, Rajaya, we love you. We're so honored to be collaborating on this planet with you. Let's keep on playing. I love you.